Many times, placing our faith in God is easy. At other times, it's the hardest thing we could ever do. What differentiates these times in our lives? Well, I would say that the level of sacrifice is what makes trusting God easy at times, while at other times very difficult. It's easy to trust God when we have a safety net or a backup plan, but it's a challenge when our trust in God requires sacrifice and total reliance on Him. Today's lesson is about the prophet Elijah and how God led him into the wilderness, promising to provide food for him. Now, there was a level of sacrifice that Elijah had to make. He had to leave what was familiar and secure and trust that God would provide for him as he traveled. God showed himself to be a provider, causing the ravens to bring Elijah food and bread and meat. Once the brook had dried up where he was staying, God instructed Elijah to continue his travels and told him that he would use a widow woman to feed him once he arrived at the new destination. It was likely a bit easier for Elijah to trust God this time around because God had already showed himself to be a provider. The same is true for us as believers. Our faith grows stronger once God shows himself to be a keeper of his word. Now, once Elijah arrived in the town of Zarephath, he encountered the widow who God said would feed him. You can imagine the widow's surprise when this foreigner was asking if he could have her last meal. The meal was to feed her and her son, and then they would die. But Elijah prophesied to the lady and said to go home and make a small loaf of bread for him first, and then make something for herself and her son. And that if she did this, then the Lord would not allow her food source to run out. It took a measure of faith and sacrifice for the lady to believe and take action. I'm sure that many of us would have said that the woman would have been justified in refusing, as this was a stranger that she had never met. However, I believe that because the woman had a relationship with God for herself, the message of the prophet Elijah resonated with her, and she felt that this was truly a word from the Lord. The Bible tells us that there are many false prophets and that there will be even more false prophets as he prepares to return and rapture his saints. But it's important to have a spiritual discernment so that you can take heed to the words from the Lord. To conclude, the woman believed and did what Elijah had said and was blessed beyond measure. So today, I encourage you to build your relationship with God so that when your faith is tested, you have what you need to pass the test and to grow in your connection with God. God bless you.